Hello everyone! I am Oliveblade and a very warm welcome to my Wonderland. Just want to say a quick thank you for all your support, new and old members. I really appreciate it and I love having you here. That being said, let's jump onto a new topic I have not discussed before. And that is the conundrum of unlicensed statues and figures. Now, I am not the biggest fan of these kind of statues and figures. The main reason being, of course, is that the original creator artist is not getting any of the revenue support for their original content. Mostly because of this reason, I have always collected licensed figures and statues. That being said, I have been tempted on a few rare occasions, but I do feel grateful that I have not given in until now. But before that, the second main reason why I am not a fan of unlicensed figures is because of their quality. Some unlicensed statues may have appeal because they are cheaper and you get more creative designs or characters that you wouldn't normally get. But the downside with that is because these are smaller studios with less quality control, you can get some pretty horrific finished products. Even with some unlicensed statues having some pretty awesome results, I still have not seen one that has been able to perfectly replicate the inspired artwork. I'm also not a big fan of resin, which majority of them are made out of, because it easily breaks and the materials that they mostly use are very heavy and terrible for transportation, let alone when you want to put it together and cleaning. Goodness, I'm already so careful with my PVC figures, and they have quite a flexibility in comparison. I do get the appeal though. I was so tempted to pick up this Tokyo Ghoul Rize. How gorgeous is she? I love how they've done like an acrylic base with the colours of the water and the blood, and her face is pretty close to her design. That being said, price wise is a bit oof for me, and her hair does look a bit too thick. That being said, I would be tempted to pick her up for the right price. I did face my most biggest temptation yet, and I resisted, and I'm so glad I didn't pick it up because I do not talk enough on this channel. I love Black Butler. It is one of my most favorite animes of all time. I adore Sebastian. Oh my goodness, he is my number one husband. I would buy almost anything with him on it, but collecting is such an expensive hobby, and so I shouldn't just be spending my money willy-nilly. So I've been trying to be a bit more careful with what I pick up. So the statue in question is the Weare anime collector's Sebastian statue. A disclaimer, this is just my opinion, so please do not get offended if you love this statue. I understand if you do, but it's just not the bee's knees for me at all. First things first, the artwork that it's based off of is just absolutely gorgeous. It's so soft, mystical, but sharp and thinly detailed, and I do not think the resin reflects this at all. It feels chunky, heavy, and not polished. I have already heard a few reports of this figure being broken. Specifically, the one I heard twice was the bird's wings. Glad to hear that they got given replacements, but still it's not fun when you receive a new figure, excited for it, and it's broken. Also, I think all three animals are quite rough and they don't have that anime feel to it. The octopus is probably the best, and the worst is the wolf, which it should look like a mystical ghostly being with all these awesome like steam effects coming off of it. But difficult as that may, I still feel like what they ended up finishing just looks very chunky and not mystical at all. Sebastian's build does not look right. He is more skinnier, and I do not like how his hands look realistic. It's almost as if they've used, which I would not be surprised, a pre-model of a human hand to save them time, but it's too realistic for anime in my opinion. Many unlicensed statues have this issue in my opinion. But the main thing I hate is his face. It just does not look like the artwork at all. It's just no. I'm sorry, Oh no, it just does not look right. And you'd think the extra face would be, you know, even better because it's an extra. But no, it's a version of his teacher. It doesn't even look like his teacher hairstyle in my opinion, and that looks even worse. Oh. I couldn't find an official picture of this to share, I'm afraid, but I'm sure if you look it up, you'll be able to see on some unboxings. The colouring is also very off in my opinion. His grey vest looks almost green, and his skin tone is not that bright. He is a very pale, gorgeous man, and that does not reflect his demonic complexion at all. And no, I do not have to talk about the deluxe edition quotation marks, which is basically him with no clothing. And no, I'm not really into this. It's okay if you are, but I really feel like that's also not been designed well at all. I mean, look how thick his neck is here in comparison to his face. It looks like a completely different body. I was so excited hearing this initial announcement, but I'm glad I held off because it would have cost me almost 600 AUD dollars to get this, and honestly I would rather wait for hopefully a new scale figure to spend that on, which probably would be less, not to mention better quality and more like the actual Sebastian I love. I think the main temptation for this is because we have not had an official scale version of Sebastian, and I am very tired of only getting Nendoroids at this point from Black Butler or dolls. I love dolls. Nendoroids I'm a bit off at the moment, and I won't lie, the new Banpresto School Arc Black Butler figures coming out, yay, a little excited, but the quality is going to be really terrible knowing Banpresto. But hey, at least the faces look more like the characters than this. That being said, I think mostly the appeal of getting it was because we have not had it for a while. That being said, if you have it and love it, I am so happy for you, but I am just praying that I can get an official release of a figure sometime, because yeah, I really wish that was going to be something I would want to add to my collection, but it just is not it. That being said, let's move on to my second part of this video, which is actually unboxing an unlicensed statue. Yes, I did pick one up after my rant and everything. I never thought I would pick one up, but after seeing Good Smile's announcement of this Violet Evergarden figure, which is not available to every country, it's quite limited, and I hope those who really want it are able to find it somehow. I'm very lucky being in Australia and be able to order it, but because of the weird limited announcement, it got me thinking I didn't expect to see any more Violet Evergarden figures, but it still feels like the floodgates are kind of opening slowly, slightly, dripping, little droplets. But I saw this figure and I love having sections of figures. You know, I love my shrines. I do prefer to have a few figures of the one character, and knowing that I've ordered this, I just felt like I needed to get something to go with her, and I wasn't sure because I didn't have anything else I could put on the same shelf as her. And this came up. I wasn't looking at this, actually. I had a friend who showed me, who is also very picky, if not probably pickier than myself, with the quality of anime figures, which I have massive respect for. Anyway, she knows I adore Violet Evergarden and thought I might like this, so she sent it as she didn't expect me to order it, but I was like, you know what? Let's have a gamble. I was feeling like a gamble, and the price wasn't too bad, probably typical scale. I paid 250 Australian dollars and I got free postage because I got surface shipping, which acts quicker than I thought. It was very quick. Within a month, which is, I think, is pretty awesome. Anyway, let's unbox her now and see if I regret doing this. At least it's on the not as expensive side. That being said, I really hope she works out because the prototype images of her face looked really promising. At least with the Weare collector's Sebastian statue, the face didn't really change and the prototype face wasn't really great. As you just saw me showing the box that it came with, it posted perfectly, no dents or anything. It was a nice thick cardboard and it wasn't ridiculously sized, which I'm grateful for. the box I think is the second most terrible box I've got. The first one being the Albedo armor version, as some of you would remember, and this is pretty darn boring. And look, ugh, horrific pixelated 3D sculpt render of the figure with their brand at the top. But yeah, no, it definitely lacks any aesthetic. But that's a nice little statue box for you. It will leave something to be desired. Oh, and yes, I have not forgot about the Violet Evergarden by Apex Innovation. I am, of course, going to pick this up as well. And in my mind, if this figure works out, I'll have the 3 of them. So then I have her in all kind of parts of her growing, her life, Violet. So you have her as a soldier, because that's, I really don't think they're going to make an official figure of her as a soldier, so that's another reason why I picked this up. She looks so good next to the Apex Innovation one, and then in the back I can see the Good Smile one where she's jumping over the lake. Oh, stunning! And that will be my Violet dream shrine. Now to the gamble at hand, because it is such a fragile material. Most unlicensed packages look like this. You've got a massive phone and you have to work out where you have to cut and work out. But let's have a look. So this should be about a 1/6 scale, so I really hope it's not too big too. That was my other fear with me wanting it to fit in with these statues. But let's have a look at the base, and oh, I won't lie, I am excited about this. And oh, this is a nice little extra. So I got 255 edition out of 266. And I think this looks pretty neat. I wouldn't mind displaying. It almost looks like a name, like an army name tag. That looks really cute next to this, I think. But having a look at the base, and wow, that is one thing that is kind of cool about some unlicensed statues, is they do have amazing bases. And I love how simple this one is. It's not too chunky either, it's quite thin, and the real grass is pretty cool. Even though I'm going to have to try to carefully brush that up without picking it out, hopefully, to give it some more shape. But they've done a magnificent job with the base with that. And the bricks, the colouring looks really well done. Though like most, it has that yucky plastic on the base there, which you have to be careful, scratches your shelves like crazy. Like, even though my Albedo armor version is a license, it does have that terrible plastic underneath and scratches my shelf if I'm not careful. She has unlicensed statue quality, which a bit disappointing. Anyway, having a look at Violet here, and I love the mud splats on it. The uniform is a very nice green with shading, but look at the mud splats, it's so cool. And the boots, the detail of the boots are just gorgeous with the laces and the colouring. But deducted points. See that hand? It is literally look like it's a part of the sleeve with no sleeve over the top. So hopefully the gun's gonna hide that. It's not a big fan of that sculpt. Bit lazy in my opinion. Which is a shame, because it is a nice, it looks like an anime hand and not like a real weird distorted hand made to fit a character that it's not meant for. And now we have a look at her rifle. So far, I've been really impressed with the packaging, so I'm glad nothing is broken yet. And oh, we have the rifle here, and I do love that they've used a real strap for this. It is unfortunately fake leather, which I mean, I get why, but unfortunately pleather doesn't exactly have a good shelf life, so I will be careful not to wear it out. But here is the rifle. Also you can see at the end the little tip bit is bent, which is a bit disappointing, but I do love the wood print on here. It does look very nice. It's funny because the same bit on the rifle that's bent here I had to glue on one of my Tanya figures that I got pre-owned that was shipped to me with no bubble wrap on it, so it broke. And same, basically looks like the same rifle, and I glued it on straighter than this job. So just saying. So what do we have in here? So this is blue tack. Oh, I really hope I don't have to be sticking anything on. Oh no. Her little kind of a huggy is separate, which, oh, it's not going to be fun attaching that. It's so tiny and I haven't given much of a peg or anything to put in. but we'll get it to when we get to it. So looking at the arm here, and I'm glad it's a proper sleeve this time, and the hand looks beautiful. I love the nails are done. It looks like an anime hand, very gentle, and oh, rip. Sorry, think about it. Rest in peace, arms. Sorry, it's terrible. But it's a very beautiful hand and arm, so that is looking very promising. Here we have the head, and I love that they've spent extra time packaging this because the hair strands will be so easy to snap. And I recommend, even if you open up a resin figure or PVC, I recommend doing it how I do it here, which is very carefully. You want to like take the bag out gently and make sure when you pull it out nothing gets caught, because it's so easy for it to get caught in the bag, even with how soft the bag is, and break it. That being said, I'm really excited because this looks so beautiful. Her face looks gorgeous, the hair looks amazing, how it's tied back with the fine details of the tie. Oh, just careful. And here you see it actually got caught, so I'm like gentle and pulled it out, and we're all safe. Oh my goodness. Look at her face. They have done a beautiful job with this. And the colouring of her hair as well. The details. No seams, just beautiful. And I love like the little roughness of the little marks on her skin. Like battle worn. Looks so well done. And her kind of soulless eyes at this point, which if you've seen the series you'll know is very spot on. So her head clipped on perfectly, and look at the little texture on her boots as well. I love those details. I'm such a sucker for little details like that, and I love boots with laces, and these are just they're ticking off that so finely. So here she is. I'll put her on the base and just let's try to fluff up some more of that grass. So far I am actually very impressed. A good scale. Quality so far has been pretty good. I'm surprised, considering I was calling this such a gamble at the beginning. I was kind of half expecting the face to be different and to be weird. Yeah. Now the only annoying thing about this real strap is you can't really reshape it, but I'm sure I can make it work somehow. Now let's see if we can get this on. No instructions, of course, which you don't necessarily need, but I do feel like something like this should have like a step system of what you should do first. I think next time I wouldn't put the head on until last, but as you can see, I did not do that. Now I'm having some issues here, and yeah, no, it was all too good. It was all too perfect. Well, kind of not really perfect, but it was all too good. Yeah, you can see me coming here. So the connection of her arm is not going in well at all. I don't want to break the head, so I'm carefully removing it, which is a very strong magnet, which I just had to be very careful to take out. And let's see if I can get this in. Maybe I just don't have it in right. This is what I kept telling myself. I really don't want to damage it, but in the same token, it is not sitting fine at all. And you can only get the gun on with the strap this way, so carefully holding that. And yeah, I've actually cut out a lot of the recording because I was playing this for too long. But at the same token, I have to show you because this is what to expect. I mean, of course, licensed figures can have their issues as well, but this is a bit more of a disappointment of an unlicensed figure. There's huge gaps, and I have it on correctly. Oh, it's a bit disappointing. You see that massive gap through the front. I just keep playing with it. I'm like, no. And yeah, this is just an example. It's disappointing. You can even see the shading isn't consistent because it's a separate piece. They've really screwed up this piece. It won't fit in flush to the back, and then it won't, and I've tried playing around with it with not, I don't want to scrape the paint. And it won't even fit in there either. It's a bit disappointing. What I did accidentally at the beginning, this was caught in here. Maybe I'll do that because that will look cool. Potentially. Hide it with this here. And yeah, like Present Me said, I did that. The strap beautifully covers that massive hole at the front, and then I'm just gonna have to not look at the sidearm, which I think she looks beautiful from the front, so that should be a good distraction. Now to try to get the ahogga in, and I'm not keen on, you can see I'm struggling, and because the piece is so delicate, if I use tweezers I would be so scared I'd snap it in half like a sprinkle, if you know what I mean, like a cake sprinkle. Like that's kind of how delicate it is. And I thought I'd try without the blue tack, but it does need it because you can see me just the little bit of the pain. I was gonna cut some of this out, but I just want to show you my honest review. I was determined to make this work because there's no point of having it just flat. So this is the best I could get it. It's not as high as the picture, as you can see behind, and we are missing the flower too in the artwork. That did not come as a piece, and I'm a bit sad about that. But hey, all in all, I think not bad. Not bad. I think I'd be happy keeping this piece. She isn't perfect, but I love her enough. I think it's the face that's really just the main focus of this here, and the majority of her uniform, which is one piece, and her shoes look amazing. I can forgive that arm because the rifle is mostly covering it, thank goodness, with the strap, which shows off that really nice buckle. Now let's have a quick showcase to show some of these details. I was going to pull some figures out, but let's just hold her up to the shelf to show some scales. So we've got the tea kitties for a comparison. Prize figure of Miku. We've got the 1/7 spiritual cake Miku. So she is a very nicely sized 1/6 in my opinion. The 1/7 echidna wedding dress version, and a little special Wonderfest Homura there. And the Shiro and Izuna, which are by Union Creative, which they usually do 1/6 scale roughly, so yeah, that I think she is very good scale wise, surprisingly, but will also look beautiful with the 1/7 Violet Evergardens I'm going to order for her in the future. And yes, I have decided to keep her. For an unlicensed statue figurine, she is actually very detailed and light, not too heavy either. The base is beautiful, and she herself is beautiful apart from that stupid arm. My goodness, if it wasn't for that, I would say this would be pretty perfect. I don't even miss the flower, but it's just another example how the finished product may not be as advertised. But in this case, I don't feel like I'm losing out at all. I'm happy I picked her up. I feel like it was something I had to at least experience once. I'm still more for licensed figures and would recommend mostly licensed figures myself. That being said, if you are after a soldier Evergarden, I definitely would recommend this if you can forgive the atrocious arm joints. You can hide with this strap. I think if we didn't have the strap to hide it behind, I would be way more critical. Seeing her on my shelf though makes me very happy. It is a gorgeous piece and I am glad I picked her up. Thank you all so much for joining me for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and until next week, please take care, treat yourself, and I'll see you then. Bye!